Welcome back, everyone, to yet another episode of Tevora Talks. I am your host, Cash, joined as always by my co-host and partner in cybercrime, Mr. Matt Mosley. How you doing, Matt?
Wow, that was an
Like that?
introduction
You
right
like that
there.
one?
Yeah, I was not doing well, but now I am.
You
I'm
hyped?
excited. Yeah, I feel important.
Yeah, you should always
um,
feel important.
Shout out to all of our listeners. So we've had an influx of subscribers, which is great, and we are now actively monitoring our YouTube channel. If you've been on there and you've made comments, we will get to you. There's a lot of comments made on there on a lot of our videos, and we weren't really paying attention. So shame on us, but we will do better. So, and there was one user that's he's down for some dollar store steaks. So we got to figure that out, reach out to that person and hook them up. And yeah. So anyway, thank you, and tell all your friends. So
Yeah, tell all your friends. I mean, we
Ash and I
always
would
say
like to keep
this.
our jobs. So
Yep. This is our third form of job security. Hackers keep hacking. Companies keep not preparing your systems so we can continue to do our work. And the rest of you engage in our YouTube channel. We love it. Thank you for joining. And I always say it at the end. So for those that don't make it to the end, please, if you haven't subscribed, subscribe, drop us a comment. And if you guys figure out a way to get a hold of me and Matt, hey, we'll send you some cool stuff. So keep on
yes,
that.
we are all out of shirts, but we're going to be ordering some more, and then stickers also are going to get replaced because we are out of those as well. I think we're pretty much out of all of our swag right now.
Yeah, we tapped out. The stickers got gobbled up in DEF CON. Everybody seemed to love those.
Yeah, and then
I
last
got
week
one on my suitcase, so
I saw one
limited
on a
edition.
car. That was pretty cool.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I
That's
posted it in our
wild.
Slack.
That's rad.
um, yeah, last week for our company, we had a company kickoff that was really awesome, and man, everybody took all our stickers and shirts. So the rest that were remaining from Black Hat and DEF CON. So yeah,
Team
cool.
IR winning always.
Yeah. So what's going on? What's going on in news now? What happened while we were
News.
we were away?
I think news, aside from the general, like this ransom group and new ransomware and new vulnerability and blah 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 blah, more or less same stuff, different twists. But this is, I think, something cool. You brought this to my attention the other day, so I'm down to let's kind of dive into it, talk about it because coincidentally, something else kind of popped up that you also mentioned, which was also in another article. So let's talk about the different ransomware stuff and how the I guess law enforcement helps. In this case, the law enforcement actually helped a lot. So
Yeah.
shout out to the FBI. But if you forgot which one you sent to me, it's the Hive.
I did not forget, but I do have a goldfish memory. So, but yes, this one's pretty awesome, right? The Hive ransomware group had their entire operations seized and disrupted, basically. So,
Yeah, yep. And disrupted by none other than our boys, the FBI. So
yeah.
shout out to the FBI on this one. I read the disruption, like, a lot of these ransomware gangs and whatnot, their services get disrupted periodically, etc. But this one I found a little bit more interesting because of where their main server was located. In my opinion, I think that was pretty wild.
Where was it located? I guess I missed that piece.
California. It
Oh,
was,
interesting.
yeah, they were renting like a colo in California somewhere. And then I guess the FBI, they like had infiltrated them about like 6 months, but they were kind of like silent but deadly style, just kind of seeing what they're doing and whatnot. And they eventually shut them down, right? But the even cooler part was that through the connection in California, they noticed that this Hive group had backup servers also, and the backup servers were actually overseas. Where was the backup exactly? I'm trying to remember. Let me see if I can find it. But nonetheless, they reached out to Europol and collaborative efforts. They took that one down too. So they're pretty much pretty toasted, I think, from what it sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, it was a global operation, right? Like they worked with obviously Europol, but the individual companies were German or countries, not companies. Germany, Canada, France, Lithuania, Netherlands, Norway, Portugal, Romania, Spain, Sweden, and the United Kingdom. That's nuts. I felt like I was
That's
the Animaniacs just now. Remember that country song where he's going through all the countries in the world?
Oh, here it is. Dutch police also gained access to two backup dedicated servers hosted in the Netherlands. So that's where those were. But to California, I mean, right under our nose. And that's wild because, on typical forensics and investigations, the immediate red flags are, hey, where do you do business? All right, United States. Do you do business in, I don't know, India or wherever else, right? Russia, et cetera, et cetera. And they say no. I'm like, okay, let's kind of start there. Those are possible red flags. But I mean, if I look up an IP and it's like California and the ISP looks legit and the colo seems legit, then it's kind of like, it's a little bit more less of a red flag, right? I wouldn't really think too much about that after the fact.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we're giving away a little bit of our tactics, but whenever I'm looking at stuff, I immediately look for anything foreign first, and then go for the United States stuff because it's a little harder to go through the United States type connections, especially if it's like AWS. If an attacker came from AWS, it's hard to distinguish what is legitimate and what's not legitimate.
For sure, for sure. I
Yeah,
mean,
I
I
mean,
asked,
unless it's communicating on like some random port. So
yeah, but then and they didn't disclose like who was the hosting provider. I'm assuming it's probably one of these smaller boutique ones or something like that that is just say, hey, yeah, what do you need hosted? Sure, this is how much it is, right? They don't really go into the deep dive of what it is and what service are we really providing and whatever.
yeah, I
But
mean, I think it was just email, wasn't it? The one in California. It was an email.
was it an email server? I don't
Yeah, I
know.
think so. It's two dedicated servers, one virtual private server, and a hosting provider in California that were leased using email. Oh, using email
Oh,
addresses.
using email addresses. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So the email addresses belong to the Hive
Right.
members.
So the
And
servers could have been used for whatever. Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Got it.
So but the dedicated servers, that's like, it's real hardware sitting there, and then one virtual one. So whatever
Yeah.
that was, it was sitting right under our noses in our own backyard, man, right?
Yeah. I do
And
want to know like what the details were. I mean, we're probably going to find them out months from now, but I'd like to know what the FBI did to infiltrate the infrastructure and all that stuff. I love that stuff.
for sure. I would love to understand like how did they pinpoint it down to California? How did they get into the server? How do they infiltrate their operation and kind of live off the land a little bit, right?
Yeah.
But the coolest part, I think, on the FBI, not like as far as like how they did what they did, but shout out to the FBI on this one. From living on their land, kind of, the FBI was able to find a lot of decryption keys and whatnot
Yeah.
that the hackers had. And not to mention, because they were kind of like monitoring their activities, when they kind of knew an attack was about to happen on company X, the FBI would hit up company X and say, "Hey, warning, you guys are gonna get hacked any second by this group. So be prepared," kind of style, right? But nonetheless, they were able to provide a lot of decryption keys to high victims who are currently under attack, and they distributed thousand, over. Here it says over 1,000 additional decryption keys to previous victims, and essentially that kind of thwarted a lot of money that was potentially to be made from the Hive group,
Right.
right?
And 300 active, right? 300 decryption keys for active attacks.
Yeah, active attacks and over
So
1,000 for
1,300
inactive.
altogether.
I read somewhere it like surmounted to upwards of $130 million of potential ransoms that were
Damn.
taken from this Hive group or potentially taken from this Hive group. But yeah, shout
Every
out to
time I read this, I'm like, an article like this, I'm like, damn, am I on the wrong side? There's lots of money to be made.
there's definitely lots of money to be made. And there's still lots of money to be made on the good side of it, right? I mean, the FBI has a Twitter account, RFJ underscore USA, that they post up stuff. It's called Rewards for Justice, right? And that Rewards for Justice is through the Transitional Organized Crime Rewards Program, which was set up in 2013. But essentially, they'll give you like a bounty, right? Rewards on information. And if the information checks out, it's solid, it's really good, depending on the information provided and what crackdown it leads to. Hey, the reward can be pretty plentiful, right? Like one of these rewards I'm looking at right now, this is posted January 26th of this year, reward up to $10 million. Isn't that crazy? That's a big reward, and it's for any information, any person acting in the direction of a foreign government and who is participating in malicious cyber activities against U.S. critical infrastructure in violation of the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act. So
Nice. I feel
and I
like I'd
guess
have better odds of doing that than playing the lottery.
yeah, for sure, right? Um,
Like in my free time, I could just hang out in chats, bullshit with people, get to be friends with them, stay away from hacking, but like know enough about it, and then maybe get some information and hand it over. Is that unethical? I don't think so.
I don't know.
You're turning people
Well,
in that are doing bad.
yeah, why not? But I mean, if
Or I
there's
could
a
just do bug bounties. I could do that. That's probably a little bit more rewarding.
but this is the caveat. I love this. It's just like any like game that you participate in or whatever. It says this is a thing you could be eligible for a reward, right?
Right.
So it's like, how do I get the 10 mil though? FBI, tell me how I get that money.
Yeah. That's the thing about these things, like especially like bug bounties. Like I've done a couple bug bounties and I found like this. I mean, I think it was pretty obscure on a major airline website, and I reported it, and like, I think it was like 10 grand would have been the award or something like that. And they said that it was like 3 weeks later, they're like, oh yeah, someone already reported it before you, and so they're getting the reward. And I was like, hmm. I
That's
mean, you could do that with every single submission and just never pay out bug bounties, and then people just collect on them.
that's so wild, man. Right? Like you could say that all the time. Oh yeah, sorry, someone beat you to it.
Right.
How you gonna prove against that? It's like your word against theirs, right? He said, she said.
Right. And I know there's bug bounty programs like HackerOne and stuff like that that organize and supposedly make sure that it's like fair game for everyone, but I don't know. HackerOne could also just collect the money. I have trust issues, Cash. That's what I'm trying to say here.
I think I've developed trust issues too ever becoming part of the IR team. Trust but verify. I take that to heart nowadays. I don't trust anybody. Even if I verify them, I'm like, I don't know. Story checks out, but I'm still skeptical. But like you've seen that Larry David on Curb Your Enthusiasm where he's kind of going back and forth and bickering, and the guy provides like a good solid foundation of a why or a cause, and Larry just looks at him, squints his eyes, and is like, okay, okay. That's kind of how I am.
I heard that Larry David is exactly like in person how he is on the show. Like
Is he?
he's just playing himself.
That's rad, man. That's rad. I would love to hang out with Larry David one day.
I think one of my favorites was when there's like the golfing episode where the weatherman tells everyone it's going to be rainy, and Larry David shows up to the golf course anyway, and he sees the weatherman. He's like, "You told everyone it's going to be raining." And he just did that so he could get the greens for 50.
That's so funny.
So good.
It's so good.
So anyway,
But back to the crime stuff.
yeah.
So to kind of build on the bounty and turn people in and whatnot. Crime jobs, right? Cybercrime job ads
Oh
are.
yeah, this is how I can make money right here.
Yeah, there you go. And this is so funny. I don't know if which one came first in your story of how you presented this to me, but you're like, hey, look, I saw this ad for this job. It's like, we'll pay you up to 300 Bitcoin, $300 worth of Bitcoin. And what you got to do is, modify
Obfuscate a DLL.
obfuscated DLL, right?
Yeah,
To evade
done and
antivirus.
done. I'd do that all day long.
And
If
then,
I don't have to write the DLL, we're in business.
yeah, so then, I mean, nowadays you can just get ChatGPT to probably write it for you. So,
Oh, good idea.
but then this is the funny part. I don't know, like you sent me this article also after you showed me the job posting, and this is like a,
No, this job posting was in that
oh,
article.
this is in the
Yeah,
article?
yeah, yeah.
Oh, I thought it was separate. That makes more sense now. I'm like,
Yeah,
what are
yeah,
the chances? I'm like, Mosey was about to be recruited by cyber.
yeah.
That
I'm
makes
just
more sense.
constantly looking how for ways to end up in jail. That's what I do. So
Be like, I didn't know, officer.
yeah. Yeah, I don't think that flies.
It doesn't, huh?
I didn't know that it was illegal to do that.
Really? It was? I mean, it's okay. It's just a job. But yeah, isn't that wild? I mean, we know about like a lot of these APT groups who have been actively recruiting people within organizations to help them gain access, right? Insider threat, huge problem. And I've done trainings on this. It's like, okay, you could have all the security tools in the world to prevent someone from gaining unauthorized access, but if somebody has authorized access, is in on the scheme, now what?
Yeah.
Right?
Which
That's
I
it.
mean, lapses, that's how they operate or
Yep,
did
lapsus
operate.
does it. Lapsus with a dollar sign. Don't forget the dollar sign.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It's like a wild wild west in the cyber world for sure. Still, I think.
It used to be a little more wild. I was thinking about that the other day. I was like, man, back in the day, it was like way easier to do shit. Like now you got all these advanced security control. Like, I don't know. It seemed like it was easier to gain access.
But what's wild is yes, there's all these advanced security controls, tools, teams, organizations, et cetera, monitoring, virtual SOC, internal SOC, yada yada yada, right? But I mean, how many times have me and you been on an incident where we just asked a simple question of, is MFA enabled? And they're like, no. I'm like, all right.
All the time.
And I'm like,
All the time.
MFA doesn't, it's like in the service already. You literally just got to click the on button.
Yeah.
Right?
My favorite is network segmentation. I can't tell you how many pen tests I've done in my career, or even just instant response where I've asked, "Do you have network segmentation?" And they say, "Oh yeah, we have segments." And like, I don't know that they understand the word that like the what I mean by network segmentation versus what they mean. So what I'm talking about is like areas of the network that are controlled by access controls, right? Like that are limited to access control. So you have your PCI environment, right? Your payment card data, you have your accounting department in one network and et cetera, right? And everything is cut off for limited access on a need to know or need to access basis. Um, every pen test I did, I don't know that there was ever one pen test that I did where it was actually properly implemented. And this is before PCI made it part of the requirements. But anyway, I went to one, it was a retail store, and you could go from retail store to retail store. And it was supposed to be like a hub and spoke model where everything talked to the main corporate or whatever main server and then out. And so the stores weren't supposed to be talking to each other, but that was not the case. Um, Another major uh, sports apparel manufacturer,
Uh-huh.
they they supposedly had segmentation, and I was able to set up a Metasploit server. This is a long time ago. Metasploit server back at my office, and then from the point of sale machine, contacted my Metasploit server on the same network.
Oh God.
And yeah, so
And I'm assuming that
network segmentation didn't exist.
that POS system is nowhere. Was it even in the same building as your office?
No, I was in a completely different town. So
Oh God.
yeah,
Well, that was easy.
yeah, yeah. So I just love that. Yeah, you ask people simple things, not simple things like they're not. That's that network segmentation is not easy to put in, right? It's a little, it's not hard, but it's not something you can just do overnight. You got to find out, what needs and all that stuff are. But MFA, like, again, not easy to implement, but you don't have it anywhere in your environment. Like nobody
Yeah,
uses it. Come on.
somewhere. Drop it somewhere.
Yeah. At least on your like power users, like your domain admins and stuff.
But how does this all tie back to our original conversation of the Hive? Let's
I
kind
don't
of
know.
recap.
You know me, I
I
just go
think
on tangents. What were we talking about?
no, I mean like let's bring it back, right? The Hive, ransomware group, attacker group. How do they get into the companies?
Oh,
Either
right.
through persistent methods, and eventually they get in.
Insider threats.
Insider threat is huge. How does the insider threat happen? These job postings and recruitment by these attacker gangs, and they're very lucrative engagements, right? Give you percentage of the cut, they'll give you a flat rate, et cetera,
Yeah.
et cetera. So
Lapses would just pay you for your credentials. Remember that?
yeah, lapses will pay for credentials right off the top.
Yeah.
Like, what are your creds? Here it is. Here's your Bitcoin. Thank you very much. Nice doing business with you.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I haven't looked in a while, but like T-Mobile was always advertised on there. Like people looking for
shout
T-Mobile
out,
creds.
shout out to T-Mobile for getting hacked yet again. I think we forgot to talk about that, but
Yeah.
throw it out there.
I mean, they were one of what, 3 major ones last week or 2 weeks
Major
ago?
though. This how many million records?
37 million.
That's a lot, man.
Yeah. And this was API. So what did I do at the first of the year when I told everybody on the team? I said, there's been a shift in the last quarter for API. And I said, well, I think we're going to see more of it this year. And then, yep, sure enough. So
There
if
it
you
is.
have APIs that are unsecured, you might want to work on that. But T-Mobile, 37 million, awesome. It was not insider threat. So that was pretty funny. But I don't know. Aren't you a T-Mobile subscriber? I am.
I am for sure. I mean, the silver
So
lining, you know what it always is um now we're gonna get free credit monitoring, I
yeah.
guess.
I mean, this is like the fifth or sixth breach that I've been a part of since I was with T-Mobile. So yeah, I mean, it's I see it as a win. I don't know about you. My stuff's already hacked. My social security number's out there. Thanks, T-Mobile. That was from the 3 breaches ago. But now I just get credit monitoring on an annual basis. So it's just part of my T-Mobile Tuesdays at this point. So
Speaking
shout
of,
out to T-Mobile Tuesdays. If you're
you just said social security number, it came to mind. It's like, what is the Social Security Administration ever going to cycle these numbers and come up with a new one or something? Because I'm pretty sure mine's been exposed for ages now.
yeah. Yeah. And I've said this before, like this is what cracks me up is like, oh, you're going to give me credit monitoring for a year. Cool. Cause my social security number expires in a year. Like, no,
No,
I'm screwed for the rest of my life until I want to go through the hassle of getting a new social security number, which I'm not going to do. Right. I mean, it's just insane. So, but yeah, if you're not a T-Mobile subscriber, you're missing out. You get credit monitoring, you get Hulu, Pandora, MLB Network. What else do we get? I don't even know.
the Social Security number thing blows my mind. It's 9 digits, right?
Yeah.
Is that right? 9. Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
9. I mean,
Yep.
that was like a good strategy when Social Security started to have 9 digits. I mean, there's only this not unlimited amount of permutations. Like a computer could crack through all those numbers in probably half a second now.
Well, that, and then if you know someone's birth date and where they were born, you've got 6 digits right there, or 5 digits, and then you have to figure out the last four.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like if you a supercomputer or whatever, you have 9 fields for the first one. Birth date is only what 6 digits typically, or maximum 10 there. No, 8, right? 2 for day, 2 for month, 4 for year, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's only X amount of cities in the entire world. I mean, you could run through that whole list also and just have some computer just keep trying the combos.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like the first 3 digits, I think, are based on the location of where you were born and the year or something like that. And then the middle 2 digits are based on the year or a combination of, I can't remember the formula now, but those first 5 digits, if you know when someone was born and where, then you know those first 5 digits.
Oh, really? For the social security number?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then the last four are
Wow.
unique to you.
Well, there you go. Even worse. Takes a lot more guesswork out of it, I guess.
Right.
So I don't know if
The
anybody from
first set of three digits
social
is
security
called the area
administration.
number. The second set of digits is called the group number. So what it is like the first set is area based on where you were born, right? And then the group number is based on the year. And then the last four are unique. So there you go.
Great. Well, hopefully somebody somewhere is listening to us. Let's do the what is that? The power of six, or the law of six, or something like that, where you can get to anybody in the world through six connections. What is that thing called?
Oh, 6 degrees of separation.
6 degrees of separation.
I was
Hopefully,
like, where are you going with this?
users out there, listeners, let's use this law of 6 degrees of separation. Get this message to the Social Security Administration that their number system is extremely outdated, and let's come up with the plan B. Just throwing it out there.
Nice. What else is going on? Anything
And
else?
don't come after me for sharing my enlightened thoughts. No, I think that's kind of it so far. Stay vigilant. Patch Tuesdays always around the corner. Make sure you're patching, updating.
If you have QNAP, switch.
If you have QNAP switch where they get popped again.
They got another critical vulnerability for remote code execution.
Shout out to QNAP.
I liked QNAT. I would have kept my QNAP, but or QNAP, sorry. But my NAS went out, so now I got Synology, which is good. But yeah, if you're a QNAP user, make sure you're updated. And also turn off any connections to the internet you don't need, right? Like if you don't need your NAS on the network, on the internet, don't have it on the internet. I've heard so many people like getting hit by ransomware. It's like, turn that shit off.
You know, speaking of that, exposed buckets to the internet, you brought this up.
Oh,
I want to save that combo. I want to save it. Don't go down that rabbit hole, because that's a fun conversation. Yeah. So users, if you're still listening, stay tuned for that one, because that's fun. Matt showed me something real interesting about exposed buckets and how easy it is to find and access them.
Yeah.
But
I had a lot of fun with that.
To be continued. To be continued. So,
and if you're a LastPass user, switch as well.
Which is very ironic, because Matt convinced me to switch to LastPass. For months, and I eventually made it. And then he's like, you need to jump.
And they got breached again.
We had that conversation. I'm like, well, how can we trust LastPass? You're like, no, it's good.
I was a LastPass user for over a decade, like for a long time, and never worried about my stuff until the last breach. So
see, I called it. I'm like, well, what happens if they get breached? Then it's doom and gloom.
Yeah. Well, I think the passwords are still good to go. Like, I don't think you have to worry about that. But the secure notes, there's a rumor going around that the secure notes they were exposed. So, because they're not encrypted the same way, I guess. I would have thought all of it would be encrypted under the same thing, but I don't know.
Well, one way to find out.
Well, we're gonna find out. So, but anyway, that's it. I don't have anything else.
Oh, right on. So everybody out there, thanks again for listening to us. If you haven't yet, subscribe to us. If you can find us, send us a little hello message. We'll send you some cool things. And I guess, till next time, we'll bring you some more fun stuff to talk about. Tevora out.